We're continuing with the Hovsco GTRS build. And the first thing that I need to address is that we unfortunately had a flat tire out of the box. So let's get to that. I contacted Hovsco about the flat tire and they sent me a new tube, which is a good thing because as you may have seen in the first video, the 20 by 4 inch is not my favorite size of tire. As a matter of fact, it's my least favorite size of tire because these are not cheap and they tend to go flat. So that's really not a gripe against this bike in particular, but against all 20 by 4 inch tires in the world. It's my least favorite. So what I have done here, as you can see, is I propped the bike up on the bottom bracket essentially. It's kind of a heavy bike. It's almost 72 pounds. And unless you have something to hoist it from overhead, there's just really no easy way to work on it. I guess I could rotate all the controls, put it upside down and risk scratching some stuff up. I don't really want to do that right now. So I just propped it up on the bottom bracket and hey, look, it balances. So as any bike, you would need some levers, although we may not even need levers for this. Let's see. A lot of times these 20s are so loose you can just peel them right off. Yeah, look at there. So I am interested in where the hole is in the tube that came with it, and we don't have to pull the tire all the way off. We're just gonna do like that and set her down. So usually what happens is they either get a tear right here around the valve stem, which I don't see one there, or when it was installed, a lever pinched it, which this one's so loose that, as you saw, I didn't need a lever to take it off. I'm not gonna need a lever to put it back on. But I would just like to inspect this, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go grab my pump. I'm gonna pump it up and see if we can locate where it is, and I'm also gonna check the tire. Whenever you replace a tube, it is always a good idea to check your tire carcass for anything, and since this is a brand new bike, it's very, very unlikely that there's something in there, but it's still a good idea. You know, maybe they ran over something in the factory, or you know, there's really no telling what it could be. So I'm just gonna pump this up, and if you really wanted to be fast about it, you would get a like some soapy water or put it in a sink or something like that, and it would give you a quicker idea. Oh, hey, it's the valve stem itself that's broken. Oh yeah, I mean, I could have just looked at that and told you. It's well, it stopped, but now the actual parts of the valve stem are super mangled on the inside. Is bent. The little whoop-de-doo that sticks out and gets pressed down is extremely bent. So you know, this tube, you can't replace the core so easily in these. So it's unfortunately it's junk. That blows or sucks, or whichever way it is. All right, we're gonna change this back out. We're gonna make sure, yep, that one's not damaged. And before we put it in, a little trick to putting this in is always put a little bit of air into this, because a little bit of form is really gonna help you install it. It helps it hold inside the tire itself. And boy, these need a lot of volume of air. This is, oh yeah, 20 by 4s, 20 by 4s. There we go. We don't want to make it any bigger. We just want it to actually be round. There we go. So it should be pretty straightforward. One thing you always got to watch out for is pinching your tube with the levers on install, but like I said, it's not really necessary for this because most 20 by 4s are kind of loose on the bead. Now I did do some research and it looks like I could put scooter tires on this rim. I don't know how well they would hold the bead set because scooter tires have a different bead set. Well, the shape of the bead set is the same. The diameter of the bead set, well, I said that backwards. The shape of the bead set is different. The diameter of the bead set is the same on a scooter tire, but we would be gaining probably 8 pounds on the bike. but then we wouldn't be dealing with bicycle tires and tubes. We'd be dealing with motorcycle tires and tubes, or scooter tires and tubes. So I got this kind of lined up, and as you can see, there's enough looseness where I can, you know, scoot this around. So I'm going to line up that valve. We're going to pop that valve in there, and honestly, let me just feel this hole, make sure there's no burrs in there. Good, good. Overall, I'd say the quality of this bike is definitely in line with the price, or better than what I would expect for the price. As of the day of filming, this bike is going for $1,000, but I think that's just like a today sale. And by the time this video drops, I'm not sure what the sale price will be. But I mean, anything $1,500 or less is going to be a really good value for the range and the size of the battery and everything. So as you can see, I started on the valve stem side with getting the bead set in there, and then we're just going to go around, go across, and I always just go to the opposite side of the valve stem. There we go, easy peasy. Well, 4-inch tire, gotta really make sure this thing's straight before we do anything. There we go. You're gonna, yeah, I don't like this pump, but it's what we got. Chow Yang fat tire, it says on the side. I'm gonna steal your joke. It was a Chow Yang flat tire. All right, and on a tire like this where the bead set is not tight, you always want to go around and make sure that it's even as you're pumping it up, because it's once it sets in there, you can't really move it. So just a little bit of attention to detail at this point. There we go, and we want to make sure that our valve stem is also pretty straight before we get a lot of pressure in there. And there you go, that's good enough. Now, again, going back to using scooter tires and tubes, a scooter tube is going to have a metal valve stem on there, and it's also going to have some nuts, and those nuts will keep it in place. So just generally, I would love to see these moped style e-bikes start coming with either 16 or 17 inch moped or scooter tires. I think it'd be a better match. I would love to see the industry change to that, but right now it's all bicycle tires because that's what everybody was doing, and that's what the Quiet Cat originally had on their version of this thing that everybody is more or less copying the looks and layout of. All right, 20 PSI, that'll be plenty for now. There we go. I would love to see that change to the industry. It would change my mind about the fat tire bikes, because I've had them before, and it's not my favorite. Oh, this Harbor Freight rolling seat is starting to show its age. All right, I guess we're gonna deal with these lawyer lips again. A little easier if we straighten the tire out first. Oh yeah. Doing this by yourself, it's gonna be a hassle. So you're gonna see me struggle just as you will struggle. There we go. Is that gonna sit? It is not gonna sit. Oh well. I'm gonna do my best. That's what I'm gonna do. Really, having multiple washers on this is a huge pain in the butt. Huge pain in the butt, because you got to get all the washers in the right spot, and they're gonna be flopping around, but there's really no other way to do it. Not easily, at least, from a manufacturing standpoint. So, you know, I'm just showing you the trials and tribulations of the hardest parts. And if you're ready for that, or you just take it to a bike shop, I guess. Most normal people would just take it to a bike shop. And that's even what Hovsco told me to do. Just take it to a bike shop. We'll cover it. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's a waste of everybody's time and money. So I guess I just wasted some of my time and money. It's cool. Whatever. Lawyer lips. In there. Oh, we are ready to drop it off of this stand. Get out of here. All right. Now we tighten things back up and we are off to the next race of tightening things, I guess. So this is a floating axle. I reckon I could just tighten it on one side and it would be fine. But yeah, cool. There we go. Now, in case I needed it, I did pick up some anti-seize, some Permatex anti-seize for the rest of the assembly, but we also have some blue Loctite. And let's see, did I attach the seat? No, I did not. No, I did not. So now we're gonna go back to what we didn't finish earlier, and we're gonna bolt that in, and then we bolt the seat in. The seat in. There we are. Got a little bit of extra cable on this. Not really sure what I can do with it. I guess I could shove it into the frame, maybe. No, maybe not. Yeah, I'll deal with that later. So they gave us all sorts of little tools and doodads. Might as well use them. That's not the one. That's not the one. Really? It's got to be one of these. Aha. User error. And then probably what, like a 10? That looks like a 10. Yep. Tighten our subframe. Hope that the seat bolts up after the subframe is on. Now we get to install the seat. There's plenty of spring washers, but spring washers aren't really needed when we have nylock nuts, so I'm just going to put the nylock straight on. Let's see how easy this lines up once I have that subframe on. So my concern is that the subframe might need to be loosened and then the seat installed, but no, it works. We're good. These are going to be really hard to tighten. I might skip that step for the moment. I don't even know if a 10mm socket would get in there because it's really, really close to the frame edge. And it's going to be a lot of 1/8 turns. So now that we have got all the nuts onto this seat to tighten it down, they gave us a nice little thin wall 10mm wrench for this. Because I was looking at it and I was like, there is no way that it's going to be easy to do this. And I didn't want to grind down one of my 10mm. So Hovsco's got you covered. I am actually getting more and more impressed. Because this is... It's not exactly a specialty tool, but in some ways it is, just because it's so tight to get these down. And what I didn't want to do was use an open-ended wrench or a box wrench, because you know, you get like 1/8 of a turn on each, and I've got about 20 threads on each of these times 6, and you know, you can do the math on how many Ugga Duggas it's going to take to get to the center of this Tootsie Roll. Yeah, all right. Hey, I am a little happier right now than I was a few minutes ago. All right, I'm going to loosen this one just so I can maybe slide the seat over. It is tight. It is tight in here, but you know, this is one of those parts that once it's on once, you're never going to have to mess with it again unless there's like big problems. And then if there's that big of a problem, then we've got big problems is what we've got. I see they have a couple of bolt holes back here while my face is staring at it that would be perfect for mounting a basket. I would assume that just like everywhere else, except for New York City, that these are pretty popular. I mean, I see them all over town here, and you know, we're only like 100,000 population, but there's a lot of hipsters in town, and it's hipsters and people that just want general good cheap transportation. These are fantastic for that. And then we've got the segment of people that lost their licenses. I used to own an electric bike shop, so I know the customer fairly well that need e-bikes. Then there's the people that lost their licenses, and this is what's funny is that the judges say get yourself a 50cc scooter to those people, and that's also illegal because in this state you need an operator's license to operate a scooter, a 50cc scooter. And so the judges would tell them, hey, you know, you lost your license, get yourself a scooter, and then they would get pulled over on the scooter, and the cops would be like, well, no, you still need an operator's license. So they would end up bouncing back and forth through the courts because the judges were giving them bad advice. So we ended up, when I was running the e-bike shop, we ended up actually doing quite a bit of business to people that had gotten caught on 50cc scooters. And so we built them, you know, a 20-mile-an-hour e-bike. Because back then it was mostly custom. So there were a few brands, but this was before everything had exploded in popularity. All right, this one's being a little difficult. There we go. I needed a quarter more Ugga Dugga to get it seated. It's a slightly funny angle. What was I talking about? People losing their licenses from DUIs. You'll have to check your local state laws on whether or not this works for it, because this is pedal assist. It does have pedal sensors, but this also has a throttle, which is more than likely why it's not importable into New York City. This is also like a 30 mile an hour e-bike when you're using the throttle itself, which is fine off-road, but when you're on road in most states, they don't want to see more than 20 miles an hour, which is when you would be in pedal assist mode. But bicycles go more than 20 miles an hour, which is where it turns into a gray area. You know, you're going downhill, who's to say that you weren't pedaling it versus the electric doing it. Some municipalities are a little stricter than others. Don't be getting on bicycle trails going 30 miles an hour, I can tell you that much. It's not a very not a smooth move. All right. Yeah. This tool is perfect for the job. Almost. These front ones are going to be a little bit of a pain. Actually, I don't know how I can tighten these front ones with this tool. I may have to do a little, yeah, little irk. All right, this was a lifesaver for installing the seat. It's a good thing they included it, and they did put it in the instructions to use it. So, yeah, I didn't look at it. My camera guy looked at the instructions. So this is a lesson to look at your instructions when you're putting together something that you don't know what you're doing. All right, what's next on here? Let's see. This is tight. We need to get that out of the way. I need to make sure the headset is tight. So this goes for any bike. I will show you how to tighten up your headset. Very, very important. So whenever you assemble a bike, such as this one thing that you always have to deal with is tightening up your headset properly. Now this is, it does have clamps on top as well. So this is clamping right here and here. Since we do have a top clamp, we need to loosen our top clamp before we do any work on our headset. On something like a motorcycle, you're gonna have a clamp here too. On this, we don't. And it's kind of loose. So, yep, that's loose now. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen our stem. It's already mostly loose. There we go, loosey-goosey. And now we've got this top nut right here. And this is what actually compresses everything together. And oh yeah. So I'm gonna just give a little wiggle here. We wanna wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. We don't want this to get so tight that it binds, but we're just gonna keep wiggling as we put a little bit of pressure on here, and it doesn't take much, like a tenth of an ugga-dugga. This is just cinching things together. Then we come in and we re-tighten our stem. This is what actually holds it. Once you've tightened together, these stem bolts are what do the real work. And we could actually remove this top cap completely once the stem is tight, and everything would still hold together. This top cap and this nut is only for cinching together until you can get your stem tight. So there we go. Now we're going to retighten this clamp, our double clamp, triple clamp, double clamp, triple crown, double clamp, whatever it is. This is our last thing to tighten. If I can get that in there. Get in your hole. All right, so to recap on tightening this stem down, what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen our top clamps on our triple clamp, our crown, whatever you wanna call this. We loosen those top clamps, we loosen up our stem, we tighten down the nut, the star nut, or whatever you wanna call it here on top, until the entire thing is nice and cinched down and no looseness, but not so tight that it binds. Then we tighten down our stem again, and we tighten down our top clamp, and we're ready to go. Now to continue with the Hovsco, I am going to get the right size wrench. We're going to make sure that the stem is clamped down on our handlebars and also in a good position. This is a good time to make sure it's in a good position. Hey, it wasn't that tight, was it? So I like my handlebars to pretty much be straight up and down. As you can see, with the ground, straight up and down. Not way forwards, not backwards and in line with the fork or anything, but that's gonna be about right. That's gonna be nice for pedaling, because I'm sure I'm gonna pedal this bike so much. And then we're gonna do an X pattern. You know, just like tightening a wheel, we go X. And since this clamp does have material out of the center, it's not going to be so bad, but on ones where it's one big solid unit or one big machine unit, when you tighten this one down, this one's going to get loose, which is why we do the X pattern back and forth. So we should be good now. Perfect. And yeah, we're good. And hopefully, yep, yeah, we're good. So final things that aren't really necessary to ride are going to be our headlight and our front fender. I think I'm going to wait on that front fender, but I'll go ahead and install the headlight, because why not? It's going to finish the look of the vehicle. And what is that, a 15? 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. It is a 13. This is very light. It looks heavy. It is not. Yeah. Yeah, kind of a neat LED. You can see the emitter. I can see the emitter. A little like rubber bushing mount here, kind of neat. All right, then I want to make sure that this looks good. And my preference is to put this right in the middle of my upper and lower clamp, or in the center of my head tube, essentially. Yeah, that looks good. Now we tighten up our mount here. And these are like rubber cush mounts or whatever, so we don't have to go too much. Just needs to keep it from sliding. On the other side. There we go. Final thing, we're going to plug the headlight in, red to red. It's kind of nice, everything's color coded. And we should be ready to go. The only thing I haven't done is put on the front fender, but I'm just going to wait for that because I don't really need it today. And I guess we've got ourselves an e-bike. Here we go. Let's see, we got hydraulic brakes. Those don't need adjusting. We have shifting, which may or may not need adjusting, but that's honestly a separate video in itself. Make sure that we're in the, the right gear. So I guess we got ourselves an e-bike. If you do have any questions about assembly or this particular e-bike, you can certainly put your comments down below. We'll do our best to get to them. And now our next video is going to be going out and riding. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.